It's summertime. It's not officially summer. And it's actually kind of cool outside right now. So I'm a liar. And what better time than right now than to show you how to make an ice cream cone drip cake. It's honestly not that hard of a process, and it's so cute and fun. Your kid could do it if they wanted to do a project over the summer, or if you want to make a birthday cake for your child. This is a great way to do it. So what we're going to do is I've already iced a 3-tiered cake. So that part of it's done. What I'm going to show you is how to make the ice cream cone, the drip, and how to assemble all of that together. First step in this process is to get a cone. This is like a sugar waffle cone, pretty small size. I would say that it's 4 inches, 3 inches tall, not too big, not too small. You're gonna get one of these. You're gonna get some candy melt or white chocolate. Take a few of these. You don't need many for this part of the process. This is just like a little handful, and that should be plenty. So we're gonna pop this in the microwave for about 10 seconds at a time. You don't want to overcook your white chocolate. White chocolate, for some reason, overcooks so fast. So my suggestion is like 10 seconds at a time. Especially if you've got it in something that's like gonna be heat conductive, and it's gonna warm the candy melt or the white chocolate itself. So just pop those in the microwave 10 seconds at a time until it's smooth and melted. While you're melting those, you may say, 10 seconds didn't do anything. Just give it 10 more seconds. I promise you're gonna be so happy that you haven't overcooked your white chocolate. I promise. There's nothing worse than pulling it out of the microwave and it being one like congealed lump because you've overdone it. So that was 20 seconds, and you can see that they're starting to melt really well. They're starting to kind of just like coat the outside of this little bowl I've got. So that's exactly what you want. Slow and steady wins the race. Yep, perfect. Okay. It's a really good, if there's like some little lumps in there that aren't quite melted all the way, just incorporate them into the melted part and it'll melt on its own. So I'm gonna put 1 tiny drop of oil in this. Which I do. Perfect. It just makes it a little bit smoother, a little bit more like that, and that's what you want. Again, my biggest suggestion to you when you're doing this, which is not hard, so far all that we've done is melt white chocolates. That's it. But you can complicate that process. I have complicated it and continue to complicate it quite often to where I'm trying to rush the process, I'm trying to rush the melting, and I'm not kidding you. When you try to melt them too fast, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's the most annoying thing because you're just like, oh, I just need to put it on longer and longer and longer, and it just keeps getting more and more hard and this like weird, it's the weirdest thing. This is exactly what we're looking for. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna take our ice cream cone and we're just gonna dip it. I'm gonna hold it up like this and we're gonna dip it down and just roll it along the sides. And it can go up as high as you want, as low as you want, whatever. It's whatever your preference is for this part of the process. Because what we're gonna do now, once it's good and coated, which I'm feeling real good about this one, is we're just gonna put some sprinkles. We're gonna put some sprinkles on this before it dries. So fun, look how fun. These sprinkles match the sprinkles that I've already put on the cake. My cake is in the refrigerator right now because you want your cake to be cold before you do the drip on it, the white chocolate drip. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and we're gonna pop it in the refrigerator and just let it stay there for as long as we might need for it to stay there. All that chocolate isn't hardened, and so everything's just gonna slide until it is. So give it a few more, oh, see, look at that. So give it time to set a little bit before you put it in the refrigerator, understanding that whatever direction you're holding it, the melted chocolate is gonna go that direction. I mean, that was all just sliding. Like I was holding it like that and it was just sliding. Gravity. Science lesson. That's good. Man. Okay, set it upside down like that on a piece of wax paper or parchment paper. Pop it in the fridge and let it just live in the fridge for a little while. You can set it like this. It's not gonna do anything because you're gonna put your ice cream cone, like it's gonna be on your ice cream cone, so you're never gonna see the rim of this, like the inside rim of this. So it's fine if it gets like smushed down or whatever. So pop it in the fridge, doesn't matter how long it sits there, and then we'll come back and we'll put the ice cream cone on top of the cake and use the drip. So our ice cream cone is in the refrigerator, allowing the white chocolate to harden, and now we're gonna make the drip that's gonna go on top of the cake. So the things that you'll need to make the drip are heavy whipping cream, white chocolate chips or candy melts, a squeeze bottle, and food coloring of your choosing, whatever color you're going to color the drip. So first thing we're gonna do is put the heavy cream into here. It's 1/4 of a cup of heavy cream. We're gonna put 1/4 of a cup in this microwavable dish. And you may think the ratio to heavy cream to white chocolate chips is gonna be weird, but it's not. If you have too much heavy cream, you're gonna end up with a very runny drip, which I have cried many tears over because it just ends up like being transparent down the sides of your cake as opposed to kind of like sticking and being this cool drip look. We're gonna pop this in the microwave for about 30 to 45 seconds. Watch it to make sure it doesn't boil over. Any sort of milk product is gonna be very, very easy to boil over, so keep an eye on it. You'll know that it's warm enough because it will start to rise as if it's going to boil over, but don't allow it to boil over. So then you're gonna take your white chocolate chips or melting chocolate. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour in a cup of chocolate chips. Now, I need to be specific. This recipe is specifically for white chocolate drip. Chocolate ganache drip has a completely different consistency, so it has a different ratio of cream to chocolate chips. So this is just for the vanilla. And I have tried about 700 different people's methods, and this method is the one that works for me. It's a combination of a few. And basically they're covered with the hot cream, and then so I'm gonna let them sit in that hot cream for a couple of minutes. Just they're gonna soften up in there. Okay, so after a couple of minutes, give it a good stir. You'll see that the white chocolate chips are doing a really good job of just melting on their own, which is something that I have a hard time doing. A lot of recipes say to go ahead and combine the chips and the cream and stick all of it in the microwave, but I again have a hard time overcooking it and it gets hard and it's not drippy at all. White chocolate chips are an interesting beast because they have a certain ingredient in them to help them remain a chip in a cookie or any kind of dessert. So a lot of times you'll have a hard time with them melting all the way because they want to keep that shape. And if that's the case, you can just stick it back in the microwave for about 5 seconds at a time. I wouldn't do any more than that. If it's not completely melted, you'll be able to see the white pieces. And if it's not completely melted, then you're gonna have a hard time. It's gonna get stuck in your nozzle. So just do the best you can, 5-second bursts at a time to get them to melt. So while you're doing this, while you're stirring them, and the more you stir, the more of the drip consistency you're gonna get as the chocolate and the cream combine. Some of the timing of your melting in your microwave is going to depend on your microwave. I have a very hot microwave. For some reason, it just cooks things extremely warm. But I think that pretty much did the trick. I may have a few lumps in there, but that is so normal. So don't freak out if you're like, hey, there's lumps. And don't freak out if your nozzle gets stopped up while you're using the drip. Just have a toothpick handy and you'll be able to get rid of that. It's at a really good consistency. You're gonna add whatever coloring. This one is gonna be pink. A little goes a long way. For some reason, the white transparent kind of color of this drip does not require a lot of color. So if you want a really pale color, I would recommend using a toothpick dip down in your coloring. This one I want to be a little bit brighter, so I'm not afraid of a good squirt. If you want it to be like an extremely white drip, you can use white food coloring or white food coloring powder. I have more luck with the squirtable food coloring, the white, than I do the powder. But that's the color that we've gotten. That's exactly what I want. It is a really good temperature right now, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to let it sit for a couple of minutes just to kind of cool down a little bit more to room temp while I get the rest of the stuff ready for the rest of the cake. Okay, so we've got everything that we need to go ahead and assemble the rest of the cake. As I mentioned before, this is an already iced cake. You can use whatever flavor icing, whatever you want. I would suggest an American buttercream for this recipe. It's just gonna hold everything together better. You're also going to need to make a cake ball out of some scraps of cake and icing. If you've ever eaten a cake ball or a cake pop, this is all it is. And all it is scraps of cake and scraps of icing. And your ratio of cake to icing is way more cake than icing. A little icing goes a long way. You can mush it up with a fork, you can mush it up with your hands. It's a very easy process, and you're going to make something that looks like an ice cream cone. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour our drip into a squeeze bottle. It still looks like a great consistency, it's getting to the right temperature. Our cake has been in the refrigerator for a few hours so that it can be cool, and once the drip hits the cake, it won't just run all the way down the cake. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get some sort of skewer or lollipop stick or large something or another. This is just a large lollipop stick or cake pop stick that you can just buy. I bought this at Walmart in a pack of like 25 or 30, so they're very cheap, easy to use. So you're going to want the ice cream cone to look like it's upside down, so you're going to want to make sure that you are putting your ice cream on there the right way. So your cake ball is going to have a flat side. I'm just going to put the flat side down. We're going to stick the lollipop stick into the cake ball, and we're going to place it on the cake. Where you place it is up to you. If you want it in the center, put it in the center. If you want it off to the side, put it off to the side. I'm going to put mine off just a little off to the side, and I'm going to stick it all the way down in there. So now that is completely secure. Now what I'm going to do is take my drip. The first thing I'm going to do with my drip is go over the ice cream scoop, so the cake ball. And we're just going to cover it the absolute best that we can. The cake ball has been in the refrigerator overnight. I just happened to have enough time last night to go ahead and do it, so I just stuck it in there, which isn't going to hurt anything. Okay? You're just going to make sure that that is completely covered, which it is. Then you're going to take your cone and you're going to stick your cone on top of the ice cream scoop. Now, What should happen is that white chocolate that we put on earlier should sort of adhere to this white chocolate drip, so that's what's going to keep the cone in place. Another option is to stuff your cone with the more cake ball. So you would have like a cone of cake ball, and you could stick an additional lollipop stick all the way through. I don't think we need that. I feel really good about this. So what I'm going to do now is go around the outside right at the edge, and it's fine if some of this pink gets on the cone, but I'm just going to go around the outside to where it looks like all of my seam is somewhat seamless for what we're trying to do. What you're going to do next is do it to where it starts to drip off the edge. And you're going to want to do a test drip first. You never want to just go after it. I learned my lesson many times. I keep doing it over and over. But you're always going to want to do a test drip. I would say, like for this one, there really is a back of the cake. This would be the back of my cake because I'm going to want to look at the cake from like this direction. So I would just take my bottle, come over to the edge here, squirt a little out, and see what it does. And that consistency is beautiful. You control how long or short the drips are by how much you squeeze over the edge of the drip. I would suggest at first making short drips just so you don't get, because it's still going to go, again, we're back to what happened earlier with gravity. Gravity is going to take it down towards the bottom of the cake. And if you don't want long drips on the outside of your cake, then just choose short drips. So that did great. They stopped about where I wanted them to. They may go a little further down, which is fine, but again, the cool cake is helping to set that when it hits the cake. And now we'll just fill in the rest here. Good. See, it's continuing to drip and it's getting in the sprinkles, but that's fine. That still looks great. So right now I'm gonna let that sit for a minute because the more I put on the top, the longer these are gonna get because the weight of the chocolate is pushing down on it. I'm gonna let it sit for a little while, just like this, let it crust over a little bit. Then I'm gonna come back with what's left and do the ice cream cone again to where it looks like it was the final layer that started to melt. So I let that sit for maybe 5 minutes. It could sit for 20 minutes or an hour. It doesn't matter. It's not going to get too hard for you to do what you need to do next. So I'm going to take the rest of my drip and I'm going to go back over the outside of the ice cream scoop. It does not have to be perfect. It needs to look like it's dripping. The messier, the better. It's pooling up around, so it looks like the ice cream cone is actually dripping on top of the already drip, that's the drip that's already there. So the final step of this is going to be to add some sprinkles up here on the ice cream scoop. How much you use is up to you. If your kids are decorating this with you, let them have at it. Once you're done with the sprinkles, just let it sit out on the counter to dry out because you're going to want it to get really good and dry. We've created something beautiful today and something easy to do. Everything can be bought at the store if you want to just buy everything. You can buy a box cake mix. You can buy pre-made icing in a can. The only thing that you're going to have to make is the drip. Everything else can just be bought and prepared. You could make these as small or as big as you want. You could use sugar cones. They have these miniature sugar cones. Any kind of cone will do. There's so many different options for you to do that I think that it would be worth trying this summer. And you can have one for a summer party, a pool party, something like that. And if you do, please tag me at Crystal Jenkins Bakes. And let me know if you made it, and let me know how it turned out, or let me know if you nailed it. I always like to see a good failure too, because nothing makes a failure but a try. So good luck, and have a great summer.